Today we have some do-it-yourself sunflower decor. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first is going to be a sunflower door frame. We're going to be using some antiquing wax and a chippy brush, of course. This is a Dollar Tree sign. Picked this up early last year. Very nice. It only has a little bit of glitter on the wording, that yellow wording on the top, Sunflower Farm. Otherwise, very nice and rustic farmhouse. This is a door that somebody else had used for a frame, and I'm going to be using it as a frame as well. I'm going to use my sharpshooter. Alright, so we're just going to start off by adding some antiquing wax. This is just, I put it on a piece of cardboard. You can use anything you want, but the important thing is you want to have enough room that you can load that brush up and then take a lot of that paint or that stain back out. Wax, y'all. The word is wax. Alright, so I'm going to move this around on the edges because this is just entirely too clean for me. It does have some chips already in the paint and some scratches, which is great for me because I didn't have to do any extra work. And I'm just going to, you know, age it up. I like the look of this, but if you don't have to do this. And really, I think this frame would also be really pretty if you did a crackle finish on it. It's just whatever you think. I'm kind of going along with how I felt when I looked at that sign, and the edges looked kind of chipped, like a chipped paint, and so I thought, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just age it. And the fact that this is going to be darker than that print we're using is going to make that print really pop and stand out. So I'm going to go over all my surfaces just back and forth and in all the little depressed areas. There's a lot of dimension in this little door, and I want to take advantage of that by really getting in there with that wax where you can see each of those little levels. And so far, this is how it looks. Be sure when you're working on pieces that you are doing all of the surfaces that are going to be seen. So potentially you would see the sides of this and the top and the bottom. So we want to give that the same look. I dipped into my wax and put it on a small brush, and on that very last raised area closest to where the print will be or the sign will be, I'm going over that with a good thick layer of wax. I feel like this is really going to kind of frame it out, and I like the depth that it gives. You know that word we like to use as crafters, depth in dimension. But it is a thing. It's a real thing, y'all. So you can do this as dark as you want or as light as you want. You can do it on any level that you like. That's just whatever you want to do. So that's how I'm doing it here. And then I'll continue to rub it in around there until I get it at the consistency that I like. And I'm going to get right on the inside as well. Before you start any layering, you need to dry, because otherwise it's just going to be kind of muddy. Everything's going to smear together. If you like that look, that is completely okay. But I like to dry in between mine, just so I can see what I'm doing, really, you know? Now I've got some distressing spray, and this is actually something that you would use on paper. This takes a very long time to dry, okay? Shake your bottle up, choose what color you want, and prepare your surface. I like to put mine down in this box, which you can see has been used so many times. It's actually like a Coke box, you know, like a flat of drinks. So I save it, and it works pretty good for this. I still get some overspray from time to time, but, you know, it works. You can see the little speckles and the little spots all over this. It's a primitive, I guess you would say, kind of a primitive look. So I'm going to dry this as much as I can, and then with a dry towel, I'll just pat off, not rub, but pat off the little dots that are still sitting on top. This gives it a little something different, a little something extra as far as aging it. Not a real crispy white, right? I'm going to do the same thing here on frame. I'll go a little heavier around corners, just because that's my choice, but you don't have to do it that way. And then you'll want to dry that as well. If you have little bubbles that stay on the top, just dot it off with a paper towel. The stain will stay underneath, but you'll get that wetness off so it doesn't smear. Once everything is dry, the sign and the frame, I'm going to flip this over onto the back so that we can put this in place. I'm just sort of lining it up between the little hangers that were already on there. And I'll use my sharpshooter with some shallow staples. That's a mouthful, tongue twister. And I'm just going to attach it in the back. You could use some screws here. You could use some little nails. You could use maybe a hot glue. But the thing is, a lot of times with these signs from Dollar Tree, they don't lay flat. They're sort of bowed. So I'm going to make sure that it stays down with the staples, and then I'm going to use some duct tape to go around the edges. Because duct tape is very strong, it's going to stay down and hold that in place where I attach it. So I'm going to put it down on partly onto the back where you can't see it of the door. Press that down, and then I'll push the sign down and press that down on top of it. This will keep it pretty flat and pretty snug up against the back of there, and I want that to happen. I don't want you to see gaps and all that inside of there, because you lose that high-end look when you have all those little things that you don't pay attention to. So, you know, the details do matter when you are trying to achieve a budget-friendly high-end look. Because we're using Dollar Tree pieces doesn't mean we need it to look like it came out of a dollar store, right? We can really snazz things up and save our money when we use inexpensive items. All right, so now, okay, you want to leave it like that? You could totally leave it like that. If you like the dimension of it, the depth of it, leave it. If you want to blend a little more, this is just a dry brush. This has nothing extra on it. I'm just going around and just blending a little bit more until I'm happy with it. And y'all let it dry. I ended up with a thumbprint on mine I had to fix. If you're enjoying this video and you like my other content, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I have a goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers by October 31st. And in order to do that, I need your help. If you're enjoying the video, it would be wonderful if you would give me a thumbs up and share my video and let me know, if you're liking these crafts. And I thank you so much for that. Okay. So once you get everything finished and dried like you like it, then you can embellish it. This door has a little handle on it, so I thought, you know what? This would be the perfect opportunity for those of us who enjoy bows to add a little something extra on the bottom. We're not just going to add bows. We're going to do a little something special here. So hang in. Very, very easy bows. I wanted to make these crafts in this video pretty simple to follow, because I understand I have a lot of new crafters here, and I want them to be able to follow my videos and not get discouraged and think they can't do things, because you know what? We can do things, can't we? And we can do hard things. We certainly can. These bows are very simple. You're going to make an awareness sign and then press the area that's crossed into the loop on the top, or vice versa. You see what we're doing? I'm going to put the wider ribbons to the back and the thinner ribbons to the front. None of these are wired, so I'm going to keep that bow small so it holds its body in shape, because the longer you get, the more floppy it gets. And if you don't have wire, it's hard to keep that true shape. It ends up looking like floppy hound's ears, right? Like a dog with little hound's ears. We don't want it to look like that. Okay, so I'm just using jute to tie mine in the middle. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to do a double knot right in that area where we squish the bows together. Tie it nice and tight. Decent quality jute is important if you're using that with your bow making, because sometimes they will break when you tie them. So just be aware of that. Kind of try different ones and see what you like. And then using that same piece of jute, I can tie it right onto the handle of this door. It's going to help it stay in place, because sometimes hot glue doesn't want to agree with us, right? Not after we've used wax. But there are ways you can make it work. All right, so a double knot in here is going to hold it in place, and we can cut off the excess because we won't be needing that anymore. Snip, snip. And then we can cut our little ends at a slant. You can dovetail if you know how to do that, and if you're comfortable with that, totally do that if you like. Look at that, I chopped my bow. I do that sometimes, but you know what? We all make mistakes, whether you're a beginner or if you've been crafting forever. We all know it. I've got some people who follow me who've been crafting a long time, and I'm sure that they can raise their hand and say, Yes, I've made mistakes too, but we know how to fix them at this point. We don't give up, right? We do not give up. Now, you want to add some more? We're going to add some little Dollar Tree sunflowers. That's right, Dollar Tree sunflowers. I don't know about y'all's Dollar Tree, but my Dollar Tree still has fall florals mixed in with their other seasonal flowers, with the summer and spring type stuff. And you will see lilies and all that right next to a stem of red or orange leaves, So you just got to look, kind of dig in there and see if you're looking for something for early fall or, summertime. And I think that the green in that sign and the bright green in these leaves kind of give this the look of it being summertime. But sunflowers grow in the summer, right? So we could use them in the summer and in the fall and really stretch your money. I'm using the support of that handle there to also help hold these pieces in place. And then I'll add a little bit of hot glue. They don't have a lot of weight and they're not going to be moved around a lot, so the glue will work good enough. And I prefer to use a Gorilla glue stick rather than using just a plain glue stick. It seems to have more stick-to-itiveness, if you will. It really hangs in there, okay? So for me, that's my personal experience. I encourage you to try different things until you find what works for you. And just like with crafting, always make it your own. Yeah. See my fingerprint up there? It's because I was in a rush to get this video out to y'all and I put a fingerprint in there, flipping it over while it was still a little bit wet. So I love the aged look on this frame. This really made this so much more rustic, which is a style I prefer in my home. But if you don't like a rustic look, you can totally leave yours white. If you prefer a crisp, farmhouse look, you can do that. Sunflower round is going to be the next one. I'll use some satin Mod Podge. Doesn't really matter which kind you use, totally up to you. And a nice flat brush. Some water baby wipes, antique wax, a ruler and a pencil. Some fabric from Dollar Tree. They had a beautiful variety of sunflowers last year. And then a round, it's just a wood round from Dollar Tree. I'm recycling one I've already used, and you'll see that later on. You'll see what's on the back. I love this. I think that blue is going to work perfectly. And I've never done a sunflower project that has this beautiful aqua color in it. So I thought, you know what, let's do this because aqua, summer. Yeah, this will work. But again, definitely use this in the fall as well. That's all about what you have in your home and what you like, right? So an easy way for me to get the right placement for a line across here is to line it up. I'm lining my ruler up with the hole and 4 inches from the side. And then I get my first mark. Then I'll go to the other side, same thing, line it up with the hole, 4 inches to the side, and make a dot. I want the largest part of this to be the beautiful fabric underneath, and then the smallest part up there will do something a little different. Now I'm going to use my ruler to draw from dot to dot, and now I have my delineation here. I know exactly what's going where. I'm going to use one of my damp baby wipes. I'm going to add a little bit of that antiquing wax just right out of the cap, blend it in, just rub it in really good because we're going to water this down so that it makes a lighter stain and you can still see what's underneath it. Now you see there, the dots on there, that is from hot glue. There was glue on there from another project that I had done, and I melted that glue off, but it left some residue on there. We can fix this, y'all. We can fix it. Don't worry about it. And using these rounds over and over again is a really good way to also save your money, right? I want to try to make this look like it is all the same color across here, pretty much the same amount of darkness across here. So these areas, I can just sand them down. So you can see the table shaking just a little bit because I was trying to really work kind of forcefully in that area to remove anything that might still be on there. And then after you just kind of wipe that off with a dry paper towel, and I'm doing this while the wax is still damp on there. I didn't even wait for it to dry. Then you can just wipe it off, dry towel, okay? And then grab that same little wipe and go back over it. Now it's going to fill that out pretty well, you know? You can always let that dry and add another coat if you would like. Then I'm going to go over it with my dryer. I built it up as much as I liked it, and I like that you can still see the grain underneath because, again, I love the rustic look, and I can see the wood grain in there, and that makes my little heart happy. Okay, now it's very important you get all that wax or any paint you have off of your hands. Get it all off before you start messing with the fabric, or you will have a dirty looking fabric. You will get fingerprints and streaks on your fabric, and you don't want that. So be sure you clean your hands, and then you can grab that Mod Podge and start putting it down. I like the idea of using a satin Mod Podge because I feel like this will give it the look like maybe it's painted on, and I wanted to give that a try. I left the bottom of this the light color. Again, you know, for the main reason of having this look like it was painted onto the wood. And y'all be sure that it is nice, it's nicely coated, and that it is, your lines are all flat. It's just easier, and it keeps you from getting wrinkles and bubbles and all that. So now I'll line it up, and you can see it was real easy for me to just tear the fabric to get it to fit down. And then press it out with my hands. Now if you had wax on your hands, you would be making a total mess on there. This is a brayer, this little tool. It came with the Mod Podge that I got, so look in the Mod Podge section if you're looking for a brayer like this. One side has a roller and the other side has a flat edge. I like to roll it down and then use the flat edge to drag across and make sure everything is flat. Once I know that everything is how I like it, I am going to start adding my second layer of Mod Podge on here. Now, I tore this and I made sure that there was a little fringy edge so that it would blend out nicely into that brown wood. Excuse me, y'all. For some reason, I've got that cough back again. I'm going to go over that and kind of accentuate the fringe by making sure it's all going in one direction, kind of like brushing your hair and getting it to go in the right direction. That's what I want to do here. And then I'll continue around the entire piece with an even coat all through this fabric. And I can usually tell that the fabric is covered evenly when it looks like it's sort of foggy looking. You can see the difference. The middle is nice and bright, and then it's kind of a hazy looking area. Otherwise, we want to do that until the entire area has the same amount of Mod Podge on it. Then I'm going to take that satin once the wax is dry, which it was dry at this point, and go over it with that same Mod Podge with the grain of the wood. This is going to give it the same finish all the way over the entire piece. Keep those lines nice and straight and even and let it dry. I always like to start off using a drying tool on my pieces, and then I move them on into an area where I have a small fan set up and a rack where I let the drying continue. This needs to be completely dry before you go on to the next step. Now you can see it is nice and crispy. I've just cut off a little bit of the excess so that it's easier for me to handle when I'm sanding it. This is an 80 grit sandpaper, and it is going to go right through there and just eat that off. Look at that. It makes a nice crisp edge. I love the look of this. If you don't have a sander or sanding block or something like that, you can use a X-Acto knife if you have one and trim it off, or if you have some detail scissors, you can get really close to it and trim it off. But the look that you get with the sandpaper, to me, just really sells that whole this was painted on look. That's just my opinion. I really enjoy it. Look how nice that is. Now you can go in there and age that if you want to, or distress it if you want, but I like it, and I like the difference between the top and bottom, so I'm not going to be doing that on this piece. This is just a piece, I thrifted this, y'all, but it's like it almost looks like a vine, like a twisted vine, but it has wire in the middle. Dollar Tree offers a jute with wire in it, and you can use that instead. We're going to be making a hanger for the back, and I just made it look, you know, like sort of like a triangle. Now I got out of the way here. I got out of my own way, y'all, look. I'm just going to flip that over, going to put it on the back side, and a little paper on top to hold them in place. Let it dry completely so you don't stick it to your table. I'm not bothered by the holes in the front, but if you are, here's some ideas. You can put some little flowers over the hole. You can take some little wood rounds of any sort. These are flat. And then I have these. These are actually rounds. They're half circles. You can stain those and put them on if you would like. But I'm not worried about it. I'm going to leave it. This little piece of burlap ribbon is going to be perfect for this. I think I got this from Temu. I probably did. I'm just going to add this on with a little hot glue. Tap it down in the front. Over here too, I'm going to add it. Make sure that it is nice and straight across there, about the same distance on the wood piece as the fabric. And you can tell. You can tell because you can see through it. And then I'll snip off on the edges. If you're more comfortable wrapping it around, you can do that, but this works perfectly if you've got it glued in place. And if you want to leave it like that, you can. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a bow, but I want to do it, say I don't have a ribbon that coordinates. Take the same fabric that you have and make a bow out of that. And that is another way to really stretch your dollar. Very easy. Same way as we made the other bows. Because it's so floppy, because it's fabric, you know, you have to kind of work with it a little bit more and take your time. But once you get the look of it, squish it up in the middle. And then you're going to get some jute, just like we did on the other one. And come back in the camera. And then we're going to tie it up. We can do that. We can do that. We can do it. You can do it. I have faith in you. Think of all the bows you can make from the fabric you're using. Just keep them small so they don't get too floppy. Unless you like that look. If you like the floppy bows, go ahead and do it. I want to fray it out, so I'm going to go over the ends and fray it out on the sides and on the bottom. Perfect time to talk to y'all about the Crafty Cruise getaway. I hope y'all are not tired of me talking about this, because I will never tire of talking about it. I absolutely loved it when we went. This year and next year is going to be even more exciting because we're going to Mexico, we're going Royal Caribbean, and our guest teacher is going to be Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. She's got something very special she is going to be doing. She's actually teaching a class, y'all. You're going to be taught by Sammy. You heard me right. And by us, of course. We're all going to be there, and we're going to be teaching you as well. And not only will Kendra and Kay and Trish and I be teaching classes, but we're going to hang out with y'all afterwards too, and that's the most fun, I think. All right, so now we've tied it on there. We've got it all wrapped up. I've got my bow on the side, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to put a little flower right in the middle, and we're going to call it. If you want to put a welcome sign on there, if you have a Cricut and you want to add something to the wood area, you can do that. I don't feel like at this point in life we need to put a word on everything. If you want to, that's fine. But for me, I've gotten a little bit away from all the wording. That's just my personal preference. But like I always tell you, I want you to make it your own. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, check out the description box below, and you're going to find the information for the cruise if you're interested. And I know you are. I know you are. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. Y'all, I've got this chair. You see what it's hanging on? That's actually a chair that I deconstructed to use to hang my stuff on. How about that? It's pretty cool. Thank you to my channel members. Y'all help me so much, and y'all are so special to me. I want you to know that your support means the world. The sunflower rag wreath is next. So here is our wreath form. It is a foam wreath. You can get something similar at Dollar Tree. And here are the fabrics I'm going to use. These are all from Dollar Tree. Look at the different variety. This was all from last year. So if y'all have got these things from last year, which I hope you do, because that's the whole point of me doing this video, so y'all can do this early if that's what y'all want to do. The beautiful prints. Oh my gosh, what a lovely way to show off these prints. I'm going to take these and unfold them. We're going to go long ways down here and rip them in half. Then we're going to continue long ways. You can make little snips right in the bottom, about an inch apart. I'm not measuring, but about an inch apart, and pull, and you're going to tear off your strips. This gives it a raw edge. This is so fast, so much easier. The pieces are even. It's wonderful. We're going to do that to the fabrics, and then this is how we're going to wrap it around this wreath. I only used the 3 prints, and I used every bit of this on this wreath. Okay, so be prepared. You're going to use it all, but I didn't need extra. If you use 11.8 inch wreath, pretty much 12-inch wreath, right? Okay, so I'm just going to I'm going to wrap those around, and you can see how I'm laying them down. I double them in half. Okay, the loop or the folded side goes on the inside of the wreath. I'm going to take my fingers, put in that loop, open it up, pull that through, just like that. You see? And it gives you the perfect length to get just a little bit of flop, but a lot of impact, I think. This is such a cute little wreath. I hope that y'all try this. This is really, really cute. Now, it's fabric, so I wouldn't put this wreath outside. It might, if you live in a place that's humid, you might end up with a little bit of mildew on it, so this needs to be on the inside. This would be super cute if you have a storm door and an inside door, because then you could put it right in between. That would keep it safe and pretty, especially when you see how we finish it off. Okay, so y'all got how we got it on the wreath, right? You see how we're twisting that? And then if your fabric flips over, just flip it back. It's no big deal. I recommend you do this while you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast or visiting with your kids or your grandkids, because the ripping it and then putting on the wreath does take a little while, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just time, right? It's just time, and you can do this when you're doing something else. Okay? Y'all got it? Fold in half. Tuck that in the back, pull it around, slip that little knotted area to the side. Keep those knots lined up if you can. You can see the front and you can see the back of it. Keep them lined up about that area. Come see my videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. I'll see you in the comments. All right, you can see how much is on there already. Isn't that pretty? I love that. You could do this with so many different fabrics. If you can't find the Dollar Tree stuff, but you find other fabrics you like, by all means, take this inspiration and do it. Hey, I wanted to remind y'all, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to remind y'all that you are not alone. You are never, 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 never alone. You are being prayed for, whether you want it or not, right here by me. I pray for all my subscribers, all my viewers. I send you happy vibes. I think the world of y'all, and I want you to know that you matter to me, okay? You matter. Okay, so we're going to just, you can tighten them up by just pulling a little bit. I'm going to go around the entire wreath and make sure that I have it fairly evenly spaced and that they are overlapped about the right amount, because you may get to an area where you see a little gap. Just slide them around a little bit. They're not glued down. If you want a little more security on your wreath, it's really not necessary if you're not moving it around, But if you do, you can just take a straight pin and poke it right through the foam, right through the knot, and right into the foam. So if you have a gap, I'll just show you what you can do. Slide that stuff aside. And remember, I'm not taking any extra ribbon from anywhere. Fabric, excuse me. This is still the fabric that I use to make the wreath. It's the same thing. My pattern's going to be a little different. At this point, you won't even notice. You're not going to notice that. With the wreath complete, we're now going to add a little sign to it. I have had this Hey Y'all since my channel started, probably. I thrifted it off of something else. I don't even know. But I love it, and it is perfectly me. It is perfectly country, and I love it for summertime. And what a great way to greet anybody coming in your house, right? Hey y'all. Yes. All right, so I'm just going to use some cardboard. This is just, scraps and leftovers that I always keep. And I am going to add a little bit of hot glue to get it down on the edges. I love that it's frayed. To protect my fingers, I'm just using the back side of my little Cricut tool to press it down, because it was the closest thing next to me. You can use a little silicone, whatever you have. If you have a squeegee, if you have whatever you want to use. I'm just using this because, like I said, it was in my reach. I love a good old multi-purpose tool. There we go. All right. I'm going to put that on the bottom, and I'm going to press that one down also, and just make sure that everything's in place. I'll also be going back over all my little frayed areas and combing that hair out really nicely. We don't want hurricane hair on our door. No, we don't. Y'all, speaking of hurricanes, are y'all getting prepared for hurricane season? It's almost June. It's almost June, y'all. I want everybody to be safe. I live in the South. We always have to get prepared. I want y'all to stay prepared. Keep your extras. Keep everything extra. Your water. Keep your gas in your cars. You know, have your medicines ready. Have your important documents ready. I don't want anybody getting hurt, y'all. I don't. All right, now I'm going to use some short floral pins that I have, and it's just like a U pin. I don't know if I don't think I actually show you exactly what they look like, but you can see in the top right corner, it's like almost like an open bobby pin. And I'm using that to attach this down so I don't have to use my hot glue, because what if you don't have a glue gun, right? But you can also use safety pins with a big head, like the little beads on the top, to hold it in place. I'm just going to cut off the edges of this because I don't want that to show if my little fabric pieces happen to slide out of the way. I want to keep it nice and neat and high-end looking. So once I have it trimmed down, you're not going to see the back. It'll be against the door. We're going to address this area here. For me, if you don't have to do this, you don't have to worry about it. But I'm just going to show you. It did happen to me. I knew it wasn't big enough. But since we got the cardboard underneath, I have a little more area to glue. So I've got these beautiful stickers from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to make a little faux floral arrangement, if you will. We're going to put some little flowers right up there on the top of it to make it look like we intended to do that. I meant to do that. Y'all remember who said that? I meant to do that. Tell me, who knows? Where's my 80s folks? Okay, so I'm going to add a variety of them. I'm trying to keep the color close to what's already on the print just because it would drive me nuts if I didn't. But, you know, make it your own and do it however you would like. I think it's cute. I don't want to cover up all my wording, but I do want to put it in here and make it look, you know, make it purposeful but intentional, right? And then I'm going to add a few at the bottom so it looks like part of the plan. And I love it. That is a sweet, sweet little wreath, y'all. Easy to do. It just takes time, but you can do it. I know you can do it. And here is how it looks when it is hanging. I'm very pleased with myself. I like this. I have done rag wreaths before. I've done them from Halloween and, you know, different seasons and different holidays. But I really like this because that yellow is making my heart so happy right now. The next is a sunflower leaner or hanger. So here is a home sign from Dollar Tree, and I've actually seen these in my store this year, 2024, hanging on the end caps with their farmhouse stuff. This is some fabric that I thrifted, and it's just, you know, similar coloring to what I have. These signs you can get at Dollar Tree almost any time. Little wood plaques. These happen to have pumpkins on them. One I'm recycling, one is new. Whichever way, doesn't matter. To attach these down, because they're very thin, so glue is just, you could use popsicle sticks and glue if you wanted to, if you have to do that. But it leaves some bulk there, and I want this to be flat. So totally up to you. But if you use a duct tape, and you can get the short rolls at Dollar Tree of whatever color you like, it will seal this and hold it in place with no worries, no troubles whatsoever. All right, so I got it on that side. But flatten it out just using that squeegee side of my brayer, but you can use a credit card, driver's license, anything you got. Then I'm going to go over the other side same way because we don't want this to bend or flex in the middle. We want this to look like it is one solid piece. And we need it to be wider than the sign that we bought. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay, again, pressing that down really tight because that's going to give it some stability and it's going to get the wrinkles and yuck out of it when we put our fabric on. And then I'm going to cover up the holes. You can get them, the ones that don't have holes in them, I do believe. Totally up to you. But I'm using what I have, right, from last year before we move into the new stuff. So here we go. I'm going to use craft paper to just cover that back. And then you got this nice finished look. And I'm going to cover both sides, front and the back, and trim off the excess with my scissors. We're going to remove the hanger here because we won't be needing it. In those holes, I've got some lightweight spackle, and this comes from Dollar Tree as well. It works great for covering the holes in the signs, okay? And then I'm just going to scrape off the excess and get it off the outside. Let that dry, and we're going to trim the fabric so that we can wrap it around the wide sign that we have now made. You could also use the fabric that you get at Dollar Tree if you want. But I love the simplicity of this, and I think this sign ends up looking very farmhouse. So I hope that you like it if you are some of my followers who enjoy my farmhouse decor. Now, because these have lines on it, it makes it a little easy for me to kind of line it up and get it in place. Before that hot glue dries, I'm just using my roller side to squish it out and make it look nice and neat. I'm going to go to the other end and fold it up. You're not going to see the back, so don't be concerned. And actually, the back didn't have to be covered with paper here if you didn't want to. You can wait till the last minute and then cover it. Nobody's going to see mine. Whatever brought you to my channel today, I thank you so much for stopping by. It means so much to me, and I know everybody says that about their channel, but I'm telling you right now, it really, really matters to me that you took your precious time to stop by my channel and to see what I have going on. And I appreciate you for that. All right, I just added a little bit of white paint, and then I'm going to dot it off so that it's not, too much going on up there. You don't have to do that because it will be covered, but it's totally up to you because you may not choose to put a trim on like I am. I'm going to take this little piece of wood that I thrifted. It's just like a trim piece, but you can use the bottom of a yard pick to do this too. Yeah, and I've done that in other videos. Very easy. I'm going to use my tool here and cut this in half. And then I'm going to find my placement. I'm just going to measure it with my little tape measure here and find my center part so I know where I want to put this. Make a little dot on your fabric so you could come back to that space. And then I'm going to flip this sign over and use some of my double stick mounting tape on here. You can also use hot glue if you want to use hot glue. You can use any type of mounting tape that you have, and if this is going to stay indoors, you could even maybe use a mounting putty for this. I'm not entirely sure, but because you can't get clamps on the side and only on the top, I thought this would be the best way to really keep it on here. Like I said, the signs that you get tend to be a little bit bowed, so doing it this way, I feel like I can get it as flat as possible. I'm going to press that down into that fabric that is underneath it, and I'm going to use these little clamps from Dollar Tree, of course. Press it down, hold it in place. I've got it centered where I want it. I've looked at my mark at the top, and I know where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to line that bottom up and press it down as well. Then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Put some clips on there, squish it down, hold it in place. Now you can see there's a lift between here and the edge. My little foam dots that I have, or foam squares that I have, work great for this. They are the perfect dimension to make this level. I only have 4 left, but if I had strips, I would have used strips all the way across so there would be no gap. And I also painted these with a little bit of brown paint that's the same color as the wood to make them blend out once it is all set up. So take the inspiration here because I don't have it to show you, but I would have gone all the way across this, right? I'm going to add some hot glue here. I'm going to add some hot glue on the sign because now the sign and those little sticky things are the same height. So now it's the perfect level spot to add on our piece of wood. I'm going to add clamps here, but I'll show you what to do if you don't have clamps, okay? Just clamps to hold it in place until my glue is dried because I don't want anything bowing. Again, like I said, things have a tendency to do that. It's not real wood, it's like an MDF, so I want to make sure that it stays in place. I'm lining it up. These do hang over the sides slightly. That's the look I was going for. Once everything is dry, you can take those off. And you see you can't even notice those dots on there now because I used the brown paint and it blends in. This is how this little beauty is going to look. And I like it. I'm going to use it as a leaner by my fireplace, but you can make a hanger out of it by just adding some cord behind it. this is how it looks, and I have it leaning up against that same chair, so that's what that wood is in the back. It's just leaning against the chair back. And I think that this is a beautiful little sign that would definitely get you through all summer and fall. I love how that grid looks with that. Very crisp, very nice. The sunflower market sign is our next one. Okay, y'all, this is so easy. Gonna use a little bit of yellow greenery. This little sign came from Dollar Tree. This little board came from Dollar Tree. And then, of course, we'll use a variety of other things, glue sticks, like that. All right, I love how this looks. So chippy, so pretty. Dollar Tree did a very good job on that sign. Very, very pretty. I'm going to grab my wax again, a little bit, tap it off, and then I'm going to go all around the edge of the sign. Remember what I have told y'all before. This is wax. It will move around a little bit better than paint will. So, if you get too much on, get another brush that's dry, blend it out, or you can go over it with a wet baby wipe, like a very damp baby wipe, or you could say I meant to do that, and you can leave it like that. Nobody knows the history of your crafts, right? I mean, really. Okay, so now I've got all the edges done here. I feel like this looks a little bit better together. You can go over your frame here with a little bit of the brown too, but it does have some brown in it already, so I'm just going to leave it like that. You can use hot glue, or you could use mounting tape, and I'm going to use a variety, and I'm going to use a little bit of both. I'm going to add my glue here. Be sure you know where you're putting this. You might need to make lines with a pencil if you need to, so that you line it up how you like it, or you can use the lines on the board, whichever way you want to do it. I kind of like to eyeball stuff. That's just me. I kind of like to eyeball stuff. Now that we have this together, I'm going to go back over right in the areas that are not already addressed, because if this was on a wall, it would collect dust in the groove between here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take advantage of that, smear that all in, color that all in, and give that a little more of an aged look. Just like that. Very subtle, right? And now we can add our greenery to the top. This is very simple. I'm going to add some glue here. Press it into place. This is a very, very light piece. This was thrifted, but you can use anything you find at Dollar Tree that you like. I like the idea of having it yellow or golden yellow. And then I'm going to take my little sunflower. Now this sunflower was thrifted, and it's kind of sad looking in the middle, so I'm going to just kind of dot it with the remainder of that wax on there. Just kind of, you know, it had some areas that looked a little questionable, like the paint was coming off or something. Totally up to you what you want to do here, but I like it. And I'm going to add it down here. And then these actually came from Dollar Tree. And I'll pull it into pieces. You know, these are plastic, so you can cut them. You don't have to leave everything on a branch like it is. Trim it down. Make it your own. I'll add just a few in here. And I think that is actually more like a little black-eyed Susan, but we're going to just pretend like that's a baby sunflower, okay? Like a mini sunflower. Now I'm going to add some greenery on that side, and I think that this will complete this one. Very easy, very beginner friendly, and I know that it is in you to do this. Very pretty. I am looking forward to seeing what Dollar Tree has right now with sunflowers. It's been a while since I've been there. Check out this little box right here. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you soon. Bye.